Good afternoon, and I'm here at our office, and I am waiting, and apparently someone's been waiting for a much longer time than me. And actually, we've got our decorations up for Day of the Dead, and so I'm just going to swivel the camera around. Cynthia, wave. And there we go. Okay, so given that we're around one of my favorite holidays, which is Halloween and Day of the Dead, I wanted to talk about what happens if you die during a work injury or after a work injury, and how might that affect your case? I mean, so for example, we've got, what happens if you die because of an on-the-job injury? There's a bunch of questions about that. And then there's another case which occasionally we get, which is what happens if you have a work injury and you die and it's not because of the work injury? What happens to your case? Do you still have any rights? Do your family inherit rights, etc.? So today I'm going to go over what you get, or probably more appropriately, what your family might get if you died because of a work injury. And next week I'm going to talk about what happens if you have a work injury and you die for reasons that are unrelated to that. So, what happens if you die because of a work injury? On-the-job deaths are obviously covered under workers' compensation. For example, we've seen in the news a lot of the JBS employees who have died because of COVID exposure, and other workers with COVID that we've talked with, where their families, where their family or loved ones have passed away because of COVID. And sadly, there are some folks that we can help, and sadly, even more so, there are some folks that we really can't help. So what are the rules, or what are the benefits if you die because of an on-the-job injury, on-the-job illness, whatever? Number one, if you don't die right away and you still need some medical care, hospitalizations, you're in the hospital for a period of time, you get that medical care covered, you get that lost wages covered, okay? If you die because of the injury, then the big question is did you leave dependents? And as always, that kind of depends on the circumstances. There are dependents, and then there are presumed dependents, okay? So dependents could be almost anybody, right? If they can show that the injured worker was supporting them, then they might be considered a dependent. Presumed dependents are spouses, children under the age of 18, unless they're going to a secondary education like a trade school or college, then it's up to the age of 21, are presumed dependents. Now I say presumed because I actually did have a case where I had a client whose husband died as a security guard. She made all the money, almost all of the money in the house. And the insurance company was refusing to acknowledge that she was a dependent because he was almost really the dependent of her, right? From a financial point of view, she made almost all of the money, like 80% of the money that came into the household she made. And it was a really uncomfortable hearing, but again, we were able to show that not all support is financial, obviously. So she talked about how he helped around the house. She talked about how she didn't have to call carpenters or plumbers, that he helped doing things. He was emotionally supportive, etc. So a dependent doesn't necessarily need to be financial for a spouse. But when we talk about presumed, it doesn't mean that it's automatic, okay? So if you are a dependent of an injured worker who has passed away, then you are entitled to 2/3 of the injured worker's average wage. Now, what happens if the injured worker, he or she, leaves more than one dependent, like a spouse and a child? Well, then theoretically the court will split the 2/3 of the wage between the two. Now, that's really easy if the children are the children also of the surviving spouse. It gets a little complicated if the injured worker left a child with another mother and has a new spouse and maybe even a new child with the new spouse. Again, courts are going to have to divide up that money. As one dependent ceases to be eligible because, for example, the children, they get older and they pass those age limits, then the remaining money is then repooled and divided again. Spouses get 2/3 of the lost wages, again, assuming there's no other dependents, until they either die themselves or they remarry. And so that's number one. Number two is a very modest funeral benefit, which is about $7,000. Beyond that, believe it or not, there are no other benefits under workers' compensation if you die on the job for your family. And so it's kind of important that they make sure that they talk with somebody who knows what they're doing in workers' compensation. If you happen to die without a dependent, and I did talk, and it was a sad conversation with sisters and older children of a worker, for example, who worked at King Soopers and passed away due to COVID, and he left no dependents, then the only benefit is that $7,000 funeral benefit. It's just crazy, but that's what it is. There's no loss of consortium. There's no loss of, Uncle Fred was so fun and, we're so sad. And workers' compensation just isn't designed to set that up. So those are the benefits if you're entitled. If you have a loved one who supported you, a husband, a spouse, father, mother, etc., and they were killed or died on an on-the-job incident, injury, illness, exposure. As always, as you can tell, it's very complicated, and if you or someone you know and love is injured in Colorado, why not let them know that they can talk with us for free. It's a free consultation. We'd be happy to talk to them about their rights, their obligations that the insurance company has to them. And as always, our consultations are confidential and they're free, and we don't charge any attorney fees unless we get results for you. Thank you and for spending part of your afternoon with us, and have a great weekend. Bye.